Well, not that they're few and far between, they're just coming in thick and fast. But we're joined this morning by Dr. Doyin Okupe, who is the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
One interesting development is going on now. First of all, is this Baga matter. Yes, we understand that the President has set up a committee to look into all of this. And today, those who are culpable, the paper's report, he says, will actually face the music. But how shocking. I mean, when they heard that scenario, what came through your mind? Because there are people who, I mean, subsequently kept on asking, the rules of engagement, how could this have happened? But it did.
Well, Chamberlain, we have to be a little bit careful here. We have to be a little bit careful. And I don't think we should jump into judgment about things that we have not really fully uncovered. Because what happened in Baga is something that is unprecedented. But you have to weigh both sides of the coin. I mean, I have found out details of, or at least I've spoken to the people on site, on ground, and the information I have may not exactly tally with what is being parried around. The information is that, some time ago, a multinational task force was set up by the Lake Chad Development Commission, originally to check the activities of the rebels in that area. Sometime last year, I think their mission was expanded, was reviewed. Their mandate was reviewed to include, taking on Boko Haram insurgents. And they've been doing that for quite a while. Baga is a very small town. It's a border town, mainly made up of fishermen. And they exist in clusters of, hamlets, and thatched houses. Now, a soldier had been beheaded sometime before the actual event we saw, or we heard about. On this particular one, on a regular patrol of this joint force, Boko Haram insurgents ambushed them, with very heavy artillery, in which one of the soldiers was shot in the head, and the task force members, the soldiers found a way to retreat and escaped, escaped the ambush. They then came back. When they then came back, they were met with very stiff opposition, severe gun shelling, and using rocket-propelled grenade fire-carrying artillery. In a place where there are mainly thatched houses, of course, those places caught fire, and all sorts of things happened. And this battle went on for about 4 hours, from about 8:05 till well after past midnight. All right, until the thing was quenched and quelled, and the soldiers departed. By the time they came back the next morning, they were able to recover 25 bodies of the Boko Haram insurgents, and I think another 6 or 9. Because there was a mayhem, and there was a lot of panic in the city. People were running. It was dark. About 6 people drowned in the river. Those are ordinary citizens. Before that event itself, it has been a regular pattern of attack of Boko Haram, burning shops, burning houses. Even in this particular case, some facilities belonging to the JTF were burnt, including hospitals, their accommodations, and their vehicles. So, it was later on when the governor of Borno State came in to visit, to visit the site. Yeah. And he came with some of his officials, including the Secretary to Government. It was during the parley that for the first time ever, that the Secretary to Government said over 200 people have been killed. And everybody
was that correct?
That's, the commander at that spot immediately refuted, took him on, refuted the statement and said that is not correct, and that is just pure fabrication.
And that's a government official.
And I'm using his name, Secretary to the Government of Borno State. He was the first person to make that statement. All right, and
he's from that town.
He came with the governor, during the governor's visit. All right, he came with the governor, and that was the first time ever that statement was made. And the JTF commander, challenged him and said, that is not correct, that is not what happened, and that this is just a pure fabrication, perhaps designed just to discredit the JTF. Nigerians must also know that the Joint Task Force is made up of Nigerian soldiers, made up of Nigerian soldiers, and Chadian soldiers.
Okay, but
it's not just a Nigerian affair.
Did he counter that figure, that 200 exaggerated figure, with the real figure?
Yeah, they said, what they have on ground is 25 insurgents that have been killed. 1 or 2 soldiers were killed. About 6 or 9 civilians, lost their lives. And then you see, this is a high-tech age. If actually, we have seen all these things before. Even when Yusuf was killed, it was shown on Al Jazeera. You understand? There's not, we've seen the Inferno, we've seen everything, but, nobody has shown us pictures of such a massacre. What we have is, a talk about it.
Okay, so the figure that the government actually is running with is 25.
I'm not saying government. The figure that is given by the multinational force.
That's the official figure.
Yeah, it's 25. 25 Boko Haram insurgents, and they went back the next day, and 1 or 2 of the Boko Haram who had escaped earlier on was caught, and it took them round the hideouts where large caches of arms, IECDs, grenade launchers, etc., were discovered and were seized. Prior to this event, only it was not reported. Prior to this event, this has happened 2 or 3 times before. Sometimes on the 31st of October in 2012, Baga town was also, shops were razed to the ground. The owners of shops were killed. That was first of all led to the movement of the non-indigenous in that area, out of the place. So it's not, it is a trademark of activities of Boko Haram in that region. So what I'm saying that we have to be a bit careful. I'm glad the president has set up a commission or a panel to look into it. And until they come up with with concrete reports, we must calm down on this issue of figures that may actually not be correct.
The figures might not be correct, but can we trust the figures as given by the soldiers? This is not the first time that we've had controversy over figures.
Correct.
I mean, there have been times where, JTF will come up with one figure, Red Cross will come up with another figure, and you find both of them clashing. Sometimes the difference is as much as 100 in some cases. So can we really trust the figure that the MJTF is giving us?
Well, I would trust a figure that is given by a Nigerian military official. I have a lot of respect for Nigerian military, and I know that they are highly disciplined. It's a very highly disciplined force. I will stand by them, and until otherwise proven wrongly. I'm sure during this probe, independent agencies will also give evidences and things, and we will be able to get to the bottom of this. But I'm not willing to jump into the fray of condemning the JTF right now. I'm not.
Okay, so
especially from the, even as of last night, I was still on the telephone line with the Chief of Army Staff.
Has there been any kind of body count of the casualties or those that were actually killed in that onslaught?
I told you that the battle went on from about 5 minutes past 8 in the night till well past midnight. All right, and later everything subsided and the soldiers withdrew. But they came back in the morning. And they actually counted 25 bodies. Unless in the middle of the night some people have come, and I don't see why that would happen, and they've carted away 175 corpses. And if they've carted away 175 corpses, we've got to see. There must be that's a lot of human beings. So we've got to see a place where they're either buried or they have been kept. You see, this is not a difficult thing to prove. The town is there. The town is fixed. So if there are corpses, there are corpses. We will see them.
It's not just about the corpses, because they say that the original figure, even though you say that the Secretary to the Government of Borno State was the first person to mention the figure, they claim that they got that figure from a resident or from interviewing residents in Baga town.
Sweetheart, in a crossfire with the military, where they're using rocket-propelled grenade and fire-carrying grenade, houses are incinerated. Which resident, really? When residents were fleeing, people were, you know, while they were fleeing, they were drowning in water, and somebody said he stood. With which camera did he count?
And that kind of